Recently, Ontario Government Ministry of Transportation, they suspended 182, approximately 185 Class A driving licenses. Drivers, they said, we are innocent, we should get a chance.
Ministry of Transport has reversed its former decision to suspend the drivers. Give the drivers another chance. Give them, if they are a safe driver.
Most of the people, they were Indian Punjabis. The driving schools involved in this, they are also owned by Punjabis. This is also an issue. Why one community is involved in so much things?
The testing is not done by the driver. The testing is done by the school. It's the school that formulates the test.
They took those money, those big cash grabs, and unsafe roads, those driving schools should be punished. And that is the loophole which these driving schools are using. Recently, Ontario Government Ministry of Transportation, they suspended 182, approximately 185 Class A driving licenses. After that, those people, those drivers, they protested and they met with the Transportation Minister, Mr. Sarkaria. Today we have transportation lawyer with us, who is Richard LANDE. He has few cases of those drivers, and we will get an update from him what happened in this case. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Richard, we know that 182, 185 Class A driving license were suspended. And ministry, those drivers, they said, we are innocent, we should get a chance. And you also have some of the clients. What happened in this case? What ministry said now? What is the update?
Yes, so I'm pleased to report that as of this week, the Ministry of Transport has reversed its former decision to suspend the drivers and to require that they not drive for a period of 90 days and to require that they take courses which would reconstitute their AZ license. So I'm so happy for them that the ministry has reversed its decision and has allowed the drivers who applied to the License Appeal Tribunal, at least, to have another test. Just instead of staying at home and not earning a livelihood, and instead of having to take the courses all over again, all 108 hours, the ministry has seen that it made an error and has simply said, look, you can make an application to get another test. You take a vision test, you take a knowledge test, and then you take a road test. And if you pass those three, then you can remain an AZ license holder.
Richard, what was the ministry's first decision that all those licenses were suspended and they were not able to drive and they were not able to give a test again? That was the first decision by the ministry?
That is correct. And then in our appeals to the License Appeal Tribunal, for example, we said, we just want you to give the drivers another chance. Give them, if they are a safe driver, then you will see that in the fact that they would have passed the knowledge test, and more particularly that they would have passed the road test. These drivers, after all, passed the road test before at the Ministry of Transportation, so I'm sure they will pass it again. And at least it doesn't give them the penalty of having to stay at home and also to not earn any livelihood, any revenue during all these months. If the ministry had not reversed its decision, what would have happened is that they would have had to have been 3 months at home and then 108 hours of coursework, which would have cost another $5,000 for them, I'm sure, to get another driving school to give them their certification. And so in March of 2026, they would then be able to once again recommence driving on the highways. Whereas now, since the ministry has reversed its decision,
You said ministry has reversed its decision. Ministry, if we say that ministry has not reversed, but they agreed to give another chance. But you are saying they have reversed it because still the license are revoked until
Yes.
Unless they
Yes.
prove that they are.
That's correct. The way I'm
Yes.
seeing it
Being a lawyer,
is that we asked the ministry, we said, look, we believe you made a mistake.
Okay.
And if you made the mistake, the way to revise the situation is to give the drivers another chance to simply take a road test.
Okay.
And this was what happened in 2024 when the ministry also had questioned some of the driving skills of some of the drivers. They did not revoke in that case. They did not suspend. All they did was come over to the Ministry of Transportation and let's see you pass the road test as well as the knowledge test. So this is exactly what we wanted. We didn't want them to have to stay at home, the poor drivers, until March of next year and have to pay $5,000 or more to go through another private driving school, a vocational school. We wanted them to be reestablished sooner. So finally, this past week, we were able to see that the ministry believed in what we had said, that you should revise your decision, you should change the decision. It's overreaching and it was unnecessarily damaging to those drivers.
Okay. Randy, if you can tell about yourself, you are a transportation lawyer, and about your law firm.
Yes. So I have been a transportation lawyer for the better part of 49 years, and I've written a number of books on transport law, and I have helped trucking firms and drivers in situations where they have the need for a lawyer.
Okay, if someone has to reach you for the transportation or this, how can they reach your law firm?
So they would simply phone. My number is 905-319-1244.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to speak to them if they need any assistance. This proves that when you can get an appeal of a decision of the Ministry of Transportation, that it has an impact.
Okay. As the Richard said, transportation lawyer Richard LANDE, as he said that ministry has reversed its decision because 182, 185 Class A driving licenses were suspended. Now, the ministry said they can get a chance, those who applied for a review or with the appeal, only those people, those who applied for an appeal, they can get a chance to reapply or get another chance to give a driving test again with the knowledge test, vision test, Class A knowledge test, and Class A practical and road test. So they have an option to redo these things. Randy, 182, 185 driving licenses were suspended. When we look into the list, most of the people, they were Indian Punjabis. And what irony is that out of 185, maximum people were from Punjab, India. And the driving schools involved in this, they are also owned by Punjabis, Indian Punjabis. So is that because we have many communities here in Canada? So this is also an issue. Why one community is involved in so much things that ministry has to take action?
Yes.
And what is your review when you look into the list?
Well, I think it's correct. I was able at one meeting to see the names of the people who were impacted by this decision. And in fact, they all were Punjabi descent. But if you look at the roads of the province of Ontario, we're lucky to have so many Punjabi drivers. And it makes sense that when they go to a driving school, they would want to have it in their language. So I'm totally supportive of the community maximizing its education, and we see every day on our highways, we have the need. In Canada, there's supposed to be, I think, over 1 million people who owe their livelihoods to transportation.
Yes.
It's one of our major industries, and because of the size of the country and so forth, it is preeminent in importance. So I think that luck would have it that because many of the Punjabi community have expressed an interest in driving,
yes.
and they have, through their entrepreneurial personas, they've become drivers. Some of them have started owning and continue to own major trucking companies. They also have brokerage, load brokers, and warehousing. So Ontario has benefited largely from this community.
So Ministry gave a clarification that they are giving another chance to the suspended drivers. And do you have any knowledge out of 185, how many applied for appeal or how many not?
Yes, I don't know that. The Ministry did not release any of the names of the 185.
Okay.
What is unfortunate is that all 185 were not able to drive until very recently. Last week, there was a letter that was sent to my clients, and I'm assuming to most of the 185, where they could at least get their G license back.
Okay.
So in that case, at least they would be able to leave the house, drive, and take their kids to school and so forth. They could at least drive their personal car. So I think the decision that the Ministry made of taking away their ability to even drive a personal car was, it was very unreasonable.
Okay.
And I'm glad last week that they corrected it.
So Ministry corrected that.
Yes. Then this week, they made a further correction by saying that the people who were impacted by their suspension could at least simply take the test again. And if successful, they will, get back their livelihoods.
So all the clients got this letter by the Ministry that they can redo the test?
Yes, my clients did. But there are some drivers who I understand. I've spoken to one in Quebec, and I heard about one today in Alberta and Saskatchewan. They
moved from here after suspension?
They did move, which was perfectly lawful.
Yeah.
They then received a license from another province, but now that license has been suspended by those provinces because the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario informed those provinces that the original MTO license was in jeopardy. So it will be more difficult for those drivers who do not have an Ontario license to get their driving licenses back in those provinces.
Okay, what they should do then?
I think they would have to apply to the Ministry of Transportation of that particular province, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Quebec, and
but they can check the record that their licenses were suspended here in Ontario.
Indeed, and that was always the problem that was going to happen, I felt, that if these were not protested, if they were not appealed, then it would be a stain on their record, so that in 5 years, 10 years, when they were applying for a job, even in Ontario, the employer would say, well, I can see that you had a suspended license in 2025, and would probably not give as much of a chance to that driver because of that suspension. So I think now that they can explain to whoever is the future employer that, look, I had a suspension for 5 weeks, but it was rectified. We appealed to the License Appeal Tribunal, and it was overruled.
Okay. Any idea out of 185, how many were on temporary foreign worker visa?
I don't know myself, but that even made it more critical. One of my clients, for example, was on a MELT, a foreign visa, and he only had the right to work as a truck driver.
Yes, with a particular
and
employer.
for a particular company. And so if he was suspended, that means that he could not even stay in Canada because he couldn't work as a truck driver. And that would jeopardize his whole future. Okay. So now he was so happy when he received this communication from the ministry yesterday. He was so overjoyed that he could now simply reestablish his credentials and he could start working again, and that the visa that he has would be in compliance.
Being a transportation lawyer, are you happy with ministry's this revision, with this new decision?
Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted. When we did our appeals, we specified that all we wanted was for the ministry to reverse its decision to give the drivers a chance to take the road test. If they are safe drivers, they will pass the road test, the knowledge test, and that way it was unfair what the ministry did, and the ministry has now corrected it.
So you asked for another chance to those drivers.
Exactly.
What you'll say about those who got it fraudulently? Because all people might not, but few might be. And
Yes.
what about the driving schools? Why ministry has not disclosed the names of the driving schools?
Yeah. I think that now the ministry has the opportunity of zeroing in on whichever schools they have information which shows that there was some bribery or other malfeasance with regards to getting the credentials. And it's the school that has the responsibility of training the drivers. So when the notice was sent on September the 2nd, saying to 185 drivers that you're suspended, in fact, they said it was due to dishonesty in the testing and the training. Yes. So if you think about it, the testing is not done by the driver. The testing is done by the school. It's the school that formulates the test. And also the training is done through the school. So they should have focused on those schools as they have in other provinces.
Alberta Ministry of Transportation, they acted, they closed 5 schools and 13 carriers.
Yeah. And indeed, that's where the focus should have been all along in Ontario.
Okay. What you'll say to the ministry for the further actions, like because now they have given a chance to the drivers, they can reappear, and we can let our viewers know that this is the decision by the ministry that all suspended drivers of a Class A license, those who have applied for a review or an appeal, now they got another chance to do a vision test again, to do a Class A knowledge test again, to do a Class A practical and road test again, and they will be downgraded from Class A to Class G license. Means now they can drive with the Class G license and they have a chance to redo their test. That is the decision by the ministry, and we have a transportation lawyer, Richard LANDE. If anyone has any questions, they can reach out to lawyer Randy. What is your final message to the ministry and those who suspended this? And also I want to ask that, do you agree that by taking the fraudulent way, ministry should act in a way that they should have the AI, they have the technology, they can catch those, because roaders should be safe also.
Yeah.
Our roads should be safe.
So what this shows is that the ministry recognized its error, and that in our province, when you appeal and dispute a decision, even from the Ministry of Transportation, that they listen.
Okay.
And I think it gives the Ministry of Transportation an opportunity to fine-tune their process of gathering information on the drivers. And if a driver, for example, did not do 108 hours, then the communication between the school and the ministry should show that certain courses were not taken. And in that case, the ministry has to then approach the school and say, look, you have to do a better job here, because there's no way you should be giving a transcript for 108 hours or 116 hours. if it's not fully true. And if the training is not sufficient, then make a greater number of hours, further courses, defensive driving, loading, pre-vehicle inspection. The ministry can tell those vocational schools that they need more amplitude in the transcripts and in the coursework, if that's the case. If there's some suspicion that the drivers are not safe, then the ministry has the obligation to change the curriculum. If the drivers would have been found to have committed any illegal activity or not fully complied with the coursework, or that during the driving test that somehow they didn't fully comply with all the requirements, then obviously the ministry should not be giving any certification to those drivers.
You want that ministry should disclose the name of the driving schools, those who were involved?
I think that the ministry needs to, they already are supervising a large number of private schools. In order to get a license for a private school, it takes a lot of work and diligence to prove that you have the ability to teach. And so if there are shortcomings, the ministry shouldn't have to waver as to which ones continue with their licenses. It's not just the Ministry of Transportation that has this obligation. It's other ministries, nursing, for example,
yes.
Paralegal. There's a lot of ministries that oversee the curriculum of their respective vocational schools. And this is just an example of one.
Yes. Richard, I have one question. This is important, that there is one loophole, which is many companies, the driving schools in this scenario, transportation, the driving schools, when they know that they have done something wrong, they took money under the table and they have given the licenses to the drivers fraudulent way without taking the road test. Now they know that the ministry is coming after them. What they did, many of them, we know, it's all over the social media, they closed down, shut down their schools. They opened with the new name. They are the same people,
yes.
same employer, but
yes.
now with the new entity, because now that company is bankrupt, is closed down.
Understand.
Now they've made millions of dollars by this fraudulent way, those driving schools. So being a lawyer, what you will say, because they took those money, those big cash grabs and unsafe roads, those driving schools should be punished. And that is the loophole which these driving schools are using. What is your answer on that?
So if you take another example of a trucking company, let's imagine that the trucking company was unsafe and had accidents, and that their safety rating was dismal. In that situation, the Ministry of Transportation will bring the company executives in, they'll have meetings with them, there might be a show cause order, and eventually they will shut them down. They will say, you no longer take off the plates from the trucks. If that same group who was the ownership of that trucking company decide that they're going to form another company with another name at another address, the ministry is wise to this. They can see who the individuals were, and if, for example, the spouses or the brothers of those executives show up in another company, then the Ministry of Transportation will not allow it. There's a part of the law that says that if you are affiliated, even as a co-shareholder, and have control, that you are not allowed. You have to respect the previous decision of the ministry not to allow it. Therefore, in the same way, if the ministry can see who the ownership of these private vocational schools are, and in the event some other group of people who happen to be related or co-shareholders or affiliated with that previous group tried their luck at establishing a new entity, I have a feeling the Ministry of Transportation has the technology to find out right away.
So do you agree that this loophole these driving schools are adopting?
I don't
It
know.
should be fixed?
I'm not sure why it wouldn't be fixed.
Okay.
Because the technology is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that person, their relatives, their co-directors or shareholders, it can be researched easily.
But right now, either ministry is not doing that research and this is happening.
Right.
We have the examples that is happening, but ministry should look into this and fix this loophole.
Indeed, and they have the technology to do it.
Of course.
And this is an opportunity now that they've reversed their decision on the drivers to take a new page and to try to have new direction so that it doesn't hurt innocent drivers as it did before.
Richard, thank you very much for this update. Drivers will be happy that they got another chance. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
ਆ ਸੀਗੇ ਟਰਾਂਸਪੋਰਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਾਇਰ ਰਿਚਰਡ ਲੈਂਡੀ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ 185 ਡਰਾਈਵਿੰਗ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਕਲਾਸ ਏ ਦੇ ਸਸਪੈਂਡ ਹੋਏ ਸੀਗੇ। ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਸਟ ਵੀ ਕੀਤਾ, ਟਰਾਂਸਪੋਰਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਪ੍ਰਮੀਤ ਸਰਕਾਰੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮਿਲੇ ਐਂਡ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲਾਇਰ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਲਾਇੰਟ ਸੀਗੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਪੀਲ ਕੀਤੀ। ਕਨਫਰਮ ਫਿਗਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ 185 ਚ ਕਿੰਨਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਪੀਲ ਕੀਤੀ, ਬਟ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਪੀਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੀ ਤਰਫ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਲੈਟਰ ਆਈ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਵਟ ਦਿਸ ਲੈਟਰ ਸੇਜ਼, ਆਹ ਲੈਟਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਲਾਸ ਏ ਦਾ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਡਾਊਨਗ੍ਰੇਡ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਲਾਸ ਜੀ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਕਰਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਔਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਅਨਦਰ ਚਾਂਸ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਕਲਾਸ ਏ ਦੇ ਨੌਲੇਜ ਟੈਸਟ, ਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਟੈਸਟ ਔਰ ਰੋਡ ਟੈਸਟ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੀਅਪੀਅਰ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਆਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਦ ਲਾਇਰ ਨੇ ਅਪੀਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਲਾਇੰਟਸ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰੀ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਡਿਸੀਜਨ ਰਿਵਰਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਜਦ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਚਾਂਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ, ਹੁਣ ਕਲਾਸ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਡਰਾਈਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਦੇ ਗੈਟ ਅਨਦਰ ਚਾਂਸ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਲਾਸ ਏ ਦਾ ਟੈਸਟ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਲੈ ਲਓ, ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ, ਰੋਡ ਟੈਸਟ ਐਂਡ ਨੌਲੇਜ ਟੈਸਟ ਐਂਡ ਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਟੈਸਟ। So this is a good news for them and ministry they corrected their decision, they gave them another chance. So ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਅਪਡੇਟ ਆਏਗੀ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ।